All right, on this Gun Talk Hunt, we've got Seth Swerczek of Hornady Ammo and the Hornady Podcast.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
All right, welcome in all you Gun Talk hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and we've got Mr. Seth Swerczek in, and we are brought to you by Savage Arms, Snap Safe, Timney Triggers, and First Person Defender. Welcome in, Seth. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, KJ. Thanks for having me. And it's Friday. Got a full cup of coffee, ready to go.
Thank goodness, man. Like it has been a week. I'm telling you. Like you get to those into some weeks, and you're just like, yeah, I'm done. That's this week.
You guys get beat with the heat too. I mean, being in Louisiana, oh my goodness, I can't imagine. 100% humidity, 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's thick. I mean, you walk out and you just feel it like heavy on your shoulders. Like I'm not much of a fan of that. I can do without that. But no, we've got a full show. Hey, here's what we're going to talk about today, folks. We're going to talk about a little bit about Seth Swerczek and the Hornady Podcast and what he's doing over there, all the cool stuff he does at Hornady. We're going to jump into, I'm not going to lie, I've had a good match, and I do want to tell people about it. I've had a good match finally. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how to select a round that does both, that you can run matches with, but you can also hunt, because I think that's really where NRL Hunter matches really shine, is they really kind of prepare you. And then we're going to talk a little bit about bullet construction then versus now. Like, how has it changed, and how are we developing the processes? Companies like Hornady, like really bringing to the forefront solid bullet construction. Then we're going to jump into some hunting advice for new hunters. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then in the last segment, we're going to let Seth have the floor and hear what's on his mind. So Seth, without further ado, man, tell the folks who you are and what you do and what your passions are.
Well, Seth Swerczek, I'm originally from the great state of Nebraska, and that's where Hornady's located as well, coincidentally. And right now I'm the marketing communications manager, which is just a longer way of saying I'm the PR guy. So anything that's outside communication for Hornady, whether that's a little bit of TV shows, largely it's the editorial community at large. So anywhere that there is media, whether that's written, YouTube, etc., I'm kind of the technical liaison between our company and those creators, those authors, the journalists, the talking heads, so to speak. And that's been a pretty cool job. Been doing that for 5 years. Prior to that, had a short run doing ballistic engineering here at Hornady as well. And before that, I was doing technical services also here at Hornady. So I know our product inside and out.
Well, you not only know product inside and out, you know the whole technical aspect of it, which is, I think, man, that seems like an anomaly, because there's guys who can really dive into products, and there's guys that can read bullet points really well. Like, they're really good readers. You're one of those anomalies that's like very technical. And I'm guessing that came when you were on the engineering side of bullet construction and all that, right?
Sure. You know, I grew up in this environment. I grew up hunting. I grew up shooting. I grew up reloading. So my father was a reloader. I remember being in the grungy old basement with Dad. He'd let me pull the handle and size cases and weigh powder. So from a young age, I was introduced to what I do now. And then, coming from the technical side, the technical services position where I started at Hornady in 2013 really set the foundation for me as far as the fundamental understanding of not just how to talk the talk, but walk the walk as well, from the design standpoint, how it's used, why it's used, through all of our products, not just the competition stuff, not just the hunting stuff, but different levels of competition, different types of hunting. And then, working with our ballistic engineering team, we have a small team, so you end up doing a lot of work, which was great. And it's definitely something I'm passionate about now. And when Jason Hornady kind of wrangled me into work for marketing, he said, a lot of your counterparts in the PR world are going to come off the golf course, and you come out of the ballistic lab. And that is a different way of talking about the same thing, just like you mentioned. And it's been really good for me, because I still get to, scratch the ballistic itch, but I also get to do the marketing stuff too.
Yeah, it's a fun gig, but but you're also a shooter, and which is very helpful. And I'm not saying you're a shooter as in you just go out and sling lead downrange in a safe direction. I'm saying, dude, you're a competitive shooter. Like you compete, which is really cool to see. You out there doing it, which is, man, that's rare feat in itself, because where do you find the time?
You know as well as I do, KJ, there's no time. But my old man has a lot of great sayings. One of his sayings is, you have time for what you make time for. And it's all about identifying a priority and making time for it. And, competitive shooting really exposes your weaknesses as a rifleman or whatever type of a genre you're in. And then if you're competitive, which I think all red-blooded American males are, once you isolate, okay, these are my weak points, I'm going to hit it real hard, and I'm going to attack those weak points until I'm better and I'm better and I'm better. And the next thing you know, you've been doing it for a decade, and you just keep getting incrementally better every time until hopefully you either get really good or you just give it up.
And that's been my frustration with, we're just going to start jumping into the NRL stuff right now, and how well that does perform, that prepares you to be in the field. Like that, I really do believe that's the best competition series that you could do to prepare your hunting styles out in the field. And I'm not gonna lie, like the first time that I shot a match was with Seth and the Hornady crew, and we headed up to Price, Utah at the match that they sponsor up there. And it was a tough match for me because, one, it was my first competition in long range precision shooting of that ilk. And oh my gosh, I fell in love with it. And I've set a goal to shoot 3 matches this year. I've shot 4.
Good
and
for you.
It's just, dude, you guys kind of lit a passion under me that I didn't really know was there. And I think you hit on something that was really interesting that says it exposes your weaknesses. Man, it does. And it's so frustrating to see your weaknesses exposed because you didn't really want people to see them, but now they're just out there. I think that's one of the best things.
It is, yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things about our community as a precision rifle sport. Everybody in that sport is so overwhelmingly positive and so eager to help you get better, and is really not judgmental. And I've found that odd because, there's always, and you're going to have some personalities you may not mesh with, but generally as a group, the precision rifle community, if you're not fitting in with the community, you get drummed out. It's not fun for you.
Yep.
And you can go to a match and everybody there is going to be like, oh, hey, I noticed this, that, and the other thing. Maybe instead of that bag, try this bag on the next stage. And I think you're going to like the way this bag works better, or this tripod, or, hey, I noticed, put this knee down and this knee up so you can rest your elbow on it. And little things like that. The community is so helpful. You don't feel quite as exposed and vulnerable, even though all of your weaknesses now are exposed.
Oh, they're right on the surface, man. And typically it's in the, it's in the headspace. A lot of it is because you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you don't realize hey, if you just get out of your own head and just go out there and shoot like you normally do, you are going to do better than you think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least that's what I think. So now that I've had a year of competition, by myself, this is competition, that I've took it upon myself to go, pay to get into the competitions, pay for my way there, the hotel rooms, all that stuff. Now I'm going, okay, now I need to build a rifle. And the first person on my contact sheet was Seth. And what'd I ask you?
What do I build? Do I go with 6.5 Creedmoor, or do I go with a 6? What's the right answer?
Yeah. What is the right answer for your NRL build? That also, because the point of NRL is to prepare you for hunting season. And so I wanted to shoot a gun that I am taking into the backcountry to shoot anything from big mule deer to whitetail to antelope, something of a do-all ilk. And what was your answer?
6.5 Creedmoor. Yeah.
6.5 Creedmoor. I wanted to tell Seth, I have like 7 or 8 6.5 Creedmoors in like my arsenal right now. Like, why don't you choose something else? Why?
There's a lot of reasons, and there's still reasons that you might choose something else. For example, the 25 Creedmoor, that's a really popular cartridge in the competitive space, but there's a lot of things to consider, and one of them is how you get better at shooting is you shoot. It's like, being in the military. I want to do more pull-ups. How can I get better at doing pull-ups? You do more pull-ups. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And so barrel life is a concern, or should be a concern, because you run these hot rod 6s. We ran the 6 Creedmoor for your first competition, and that's a great cartridge. And when you're shooting factory ammo and factory division, you can use it. It's legal. However, the barrel life is maybe 1,000 rounds, and that's one match, one training, some practice, and you're over halfway through your barrel life. And so barrel life is a concern. You want to have the ability to practice with it, to train with it, to hunt with it, and compete with it. So you're going to get plenty of barrel life out of a 6.5 Creedmoor. And with the NRL Hunter, they have a power factor. They want you to shoot something that's real life, that's going to have some recoil. Yeah. It's not a circus game, kind of like the PRS kind of is. And the Creedmoor meets the threshold for, hey, if you're shooting 140 class bullet or heavier at about 2650 or more, then yeah, you're going to make power factor, and you're going to have great barrel life, great external ballistics. And if you ever ran into something, needed ammo, showed up and forgot to bring your ammo, you can buy 6.5 Creedmoor everywhere. Anywhere. And it's a really strong answer. Now, some really good cartridges like the 25 Creedmoor, the 6.5 PRC, those two are certainly good options for the NRL Hunter specifically. However, the NRL Hunter game, if you're going to play it as a game, recoil is a big concern. You have to see where your bullets are landing, and the 6.5 PRC just comes with a little more recoil. So the 6.5, it really splits the difference. You get power factor, you get great trajectory and wind deflection numbers, you get great barrel life, and it's just the easy button. So for that reason, the 6.5 Creedmoor is an easy answer.
I know you're right.
But you could certainly, if you haven't built yet, KJ, you could always go 25. And I know a guy with some ammo. And the 25, as far as a gamer goes, it's less recoil than the 6.5, and it's better in the wind than the 6.5. Minutely, it's small, but it is better, and it is different. If you don't have a 25 Creedmoor in the stable, it'd be a good time to put one in.
But there is something to be said for having all the same cartridges, and in that way you're not out there rushing around buying ammo and stuff like that. But man, I will tell you this. I saw a guy at the last competition, the last NRL match I was at. He was shooting a 300 PRC, and I felt sorry for him.
Yeah,
I legit, because I RO'd the event, and I'm like, oh my, how are you seeing any shots? And because I asked him, I was like, well, how are you seeing any shots? Like, why did you choose this? And he said exactly what I think. He goes, well, this is the gun I'm hunting with, so I'm going to bring it to the competition. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That checks out. But how are you adjusting for your misses? He goes, I feel what I did. And he goes, I make an adjustment off of feel, not sight. And I thought, I was like, man, you're definitely not gaming it.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said about that. Because I had considered taking my 7 PRC and shooting a hunter match with it. But I would hand load, and I'd reduce the velocity, and I'd reduce the bullet weight just to bring the recoil down, because 300 PRC is punishing, and that's certainly going to hurt the barrel life when you're doing these longer strings of fire.
Right. Yeah. I have a question. Do you know much about 7 SAUM?
Yeah. Because I know some. I've never built one. I built a guy.
There was 2 people shooting that at that match, and I was like, I haven't seen that one out. But it was 7 SAUM.
Yeah, but it kind of had a resurgence in like the right before COVID time frame, and it's still popular today. It was a cartridge in the early 2000s, and it just everybody forgot to care about it really. And the 300 of the short magnums, the 300 Winchester short mag kind of rose from the rest of them as the staple. Yeah. The problem with the original 7R SAUM is that it's got a really short overall length and kind of a slow twist rate. So why it had this surge in popularity, and it's still popular today, is it's got a pretty good fuel tank. It's got enough room that you can basically drive it like you would a 7mm Remington Magnum. But if you get a fast twist rate, a custom twist rate like a 1-in-8, and then you get a custom reamer that lets you push those bullets out a little bit longer than Sammy spec, then you've got a real hot rod on your hands. And it does require you to hand load for it. But great ballistics, like I said, it's going to essentially duplicate a 7 mag.
Interesting. That's interesting. Hey, we're going to jump back into this conversation, but first we've got to jump in here with some commercials. So hang on with us. We're talking with Seth Swerczek at Hornady right after this. When it comes to securing your gear, firearms, and valuables, peace of mind starts with SnapSafe. This is a Hornady company. We love these because they keep our firearms safe, especially with me traveling on the road so much. Their Trunk Safe 2 is something I trust to put my firearm in. It's not going to rattle around all the spots that I don't want it to because it's secured within my truck. So if you're looking to go on the road or secure your firearms safe at home, check out SnapSafe. First Person Defender YouTube page is out. You got to go like, comment, and subscribe, and I promise you, you're going to like what you see over there because you are going to get a view. Each week, we're going to be launching new episodes. Season 14 is coming out soon, so get over there and check it out. You got to like, comment, and subscribe. We want to push this thing out because we want more people becoming more aware of their personal safety. If you like tips, tactics, watching people and seeing how they react, and you being the Monday morning quarterback that you are, I know you're going to love it because you're going to say, whoa, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done it totally different. Well, would you have? Because I'm going to be honest with you right now. There are a lot of people out there that says, I'm going to just turn it on. I'm going to know when my attack comes. Well, if you know when your attack is coming, I sure as heck wouldn't be there. But watching First Person Defender gives you the opportunity to say, yep, I wouldn't be in that situation because I'm going to see it way before that. And you're training your mind. All right. So go like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube page over there. The First Person Defender is going to be hot. Feel like your trigger's holding you back more than your ex? Fix that with the Timney Alpha competition trigger for the Ruger RXM. It's got a crisp 3-pound pull, no adjustments, no drama, just pure, smooth performance. It installs easier than IKEA furniture and comes fully hand-assembled, tested, and calibrated by real humans, not robots or over-caffeinated raccoons. Made in the USA and backed by a legendary lifetime warranty, yes, it will make you more accurate. The rest is on you. Looking to level up your hunt and tighten up those groups? Well, look no further than Remington Ammo. Yeah, the stuff in the green box is super accurate, and they've got everything from hunting ammo all the way to NRL, like match ammo. So check those out. Remington Premier, from Premier Tip AccuTip to match grade ammunition, all in that green box you love, you trust, and you adore. Find it all at remington.com. All right, we're back with Seth Swerczek of Hornady, the Hornady Podcast also. We're talking about different calibers to use for NRL Hunter and hunting alike. So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm headed up to Canada, thank goodness, to hunt elk, mule deer, well, no, elk, maybe moose. I hope moose, and black bear.
Dang.
So
Trifecta.
Well, I know, right? Like, I'm very lucky. My uncle has a place up there, and he can't outfit it, but it's like he only plants for wildlife. Like, that's all he does. So let's talk about what caliber should I take for all those? Because I know 6.5 Creedmoor, but I know a lot of it also has to deal with bullet construction.
Right. Yeah, bullet construction and shot placement. And when we talk terminal performance, the analogy that I give or how I describe it, I always start with in the world, there is a hierarchy of things. And in particular, when we're talking terminal performance, the top of the hierarchy is shot placement. And in a hierarchy, number one always trumps everything that's underneath it. And number one is shot placement, as always. So we get that out of the way. Then you talk about bullet construction. Historically, lead core bullets are the standard, and they still are the standard. Lead is an ideal material for bullet cores. But now in the world of monolithics, people seem to think when they hear about solid copper or copper alloy bullets that they were designed for California. And I can assure you, we do not have a product in our lineup that caters strictly to California as the main goal. That was not a concern of the Hornadys. The reason you're seeing more and more copper or copper alloy bullets is because of the terminal performance. And they are a little bit more rugged, a little bit more robust, and now with modern manufacturing, incredibly accurate, great drag characteristics, high BC, and then they hit like a freight train. So if you're looking at anything from deer up to moose and then black bear as well, you could get away with going with a smaller caliber, but choosing a bullet with more rugged construction. So like a 6.5 PRC, for example. If you go with a 6.5 PRC and a 130 grain Hornady CX or equivalent monolithic bullet, that may sound light for moose. However, that bullet's going to hold 95+% weight retention. It's going to be doing 2,900 plus feet per second of muzzle velocity. It's got all kinds of BC, high BC bullets, and it's going to absolutely truck through anything you shoot with it. So you could go with that. 7 is a great option as well.
Yeah, I do love a 7, and I love the Lord's caliber. I love a 300 Win Mag.
You can't go wrong with the Win Mag.
I mean, you really can't. But when you talk about like legacy bullets, I guess like a mono metal bullet, like the GMX was always one of my favorites. But and that, I mean, you're talking what, 95, 98% of its weight retention upon impact. I mean, every single time, like that's hard to beat.
It really is. It's a great option, and the GMX was a great bullet for us. And when we came out with the CX line to replace the GMX line, it was just some minor adjustments to make it just a little bit better. And it is just a little bit better, and we've got some new options there that are sexy.
Man, I don't know how you guys did it, but once I have to admit, I do reload. And I'm not scared to admit that, but I started reloading the CX bullet and absolutely fell in love with it for my kids and whitetail hunting. Because you're right, it packs a punch, it holds its weight. And I mean, there's nothing like that stands in its way, really. When you're talking about bullet performance downrange, and that's what we really want. Is it wrong that part of me, I mean, other than moose, is it wrong that part of me wants to take the CX to Canada to shoot elk?
Oh, not at all. No. That's the CX is my preferred elk. And admittedly, I'm a lead core bullet guy. Like that, my default, if someone says, Seth, you're going on a hunt, grab your rifle, let's go. My default is to grab an ELDX with a lead core. And it was hard to break that mold. Yeah. Now, my default is, it's not quite switched, but I'm 50-50 if I'm going CX or ELDX or not. And the thing that the ELDX really gets you, in my opinion, is it's almost like an insurance policy where you finally get the shot. You've been hunting your butt off and you finally get the shot, but it's quartering 2. Yeah. Man, that can be a tough shot. I got a CX loaded in the chamber. I don't even think twice about it.
No, send it. Like that's the point that I'm like, I love for like youth hunting and stuff is, my gosh, like it's going to put the punch to them. And that's what I noticed this year. You know, my son, he sat there and I make them, and I know you guys are going to be like, man, you're a tough dad, but they reload their own for the hunting season. And so I made them,
that's not tough dad. That's an awesome dad.
I mean, I made them reload their bullets for the season, and he shoots this deer, and I walk up and I'm like, all right, he's going to do the tracking job. And I know I've got a trigger cam on the scope, and I'm sitting there watching it. And when he shoots, I'm like, dead deer. Like immediately I'm thinking he's done. And so we walk up to where the feeder was, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have him track it. Like, I'm like, hey, you need to start finding blood. And he walks up, and it couldn't have been any better because the whole side of the feeder was caked with all like blood, and like, I mean, he was done within 10 yards, like less than that. It was incredible. Like, and that's with the CX bullet. And that's why I look at that and how it did on that whitetail. And it was a big whitetail. And I think there is no problem with taking that thing with an elk, because my last elk I shot was with an ELDX 6.5 Creedmoor. So
people, obviously there's a lot of making fun of the 6.5 Creedmoor for the 6.5 man bun and the 6.5 Needmore and stuff. And it really all comes down to, number one is always shot placement, and then choosing the right bullet for the job. And a lot of elk fall every year to the ELDX out of a 6.5. But now with that 130 CX or the 120 CX and factory ammo, or you could jump up to 6.5 PRC, get a little bit more velocity. That 130 CX, our marketing director, Neil Davies, last year crushed an elk in Utah with a 6.5 Creedmoor shooting 130 CXs.
I mean, it happens all the time, and we're seeing Tyler Friel over at Tundra Talk.
Yeah,
he's killing grizzlies with this thing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And a lot of it is shot placement. I mean, I think did he kill a moose last year? What did he kill? That was
22
like,
arc.
It was a 22 arc.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about that. Like, should that be what I look at? Like,
no,
I can't shoot it for NRL.
Yeah. There's something fun about shooting smaller cartridges, and it's with modern bullets, you can definitely do more with less. I took the 22 ARC and the 22 Creedmoor to Africa to shoot plains game, and I went in with high expectations, and then those expectations were exceeded. But again, a lot of that falls down to modern bullet construction and knowing what your bullet performance looks like and aligning that with your expectations. And I'm a big fan of the 6.5 for almost everything. And if you ended up taking that, you wouldn't be wrong. You could certainly go bigger. Sometimes that feels like, okay, I feel good about that. I've got a bigger cartridge, but certainly don't have to.
I would always want bigger, I guess. When you're talking about a big giant moose, like, I'm kind of like, probably just because that's not a tag that comes along that often for a guy like me. I'd ensure like success. Let's do that.
Yep.
All right, let's jump in real quick to more of like kind of your best advice, because I know you got young kids. Like, what advice are you giving them, or new hunters that are coming into a world where gear is not an issue? We have more gear available to us now and more gadgets than ever before. So what advice are you giving these new hunters that are entering this space?
I think I don't give a ton of advice to many new hunters. Well, maybe I do.
Oh, you
as
do.
Far as my kids are concerned, and I haven't like straight given this to them, but this is the way that they're coming up as shooters and as hunters, is get good with a sandbag and get good with a tripod, and try to mitigate all of the other junk and auxiliary equipment that's just going to get in your way. There are some certain sandbags that I have, and I have light ones, obviously, for hunting. Find the one that works for you, and then work with it, and work with that one only, and it will become an extension of your rifle, and you'll get really good with that. And as far as a tripod is concerned, with the way that I end up hunting quite a bit, and it seems like a lot of people hunt now, with a tripod, you can use it for glassing with your binoculars. You can use it for glassing with your spotting scope and getting some good phone scope footage, and then you can shoot off it. And NRL Hunter, it is critical that you have a tripod. And when I think about my hunting, just in my home state, as an adult, I have shot more animals off of a tripod than I have laying prone. And, if you're obviously in a box blind, that can be a force multiplier. You try to put a sandbag on a flimsy box blind window, or let me clamp into this tripod, and it's like shooting from the prone. So I would say, don't get overwhelmed by the amount of gear. Just know, in my opinion, a good sandbag and a good tripod, use those two things and become proficient with them, and they will become extensions of how you shoot. And before you know it, it'll be second nature.
Man, I love the way you think because now, leading up to hunting season every year, I'm like, all right, boys, it's time to start dry firing. And this year we're doing it different. And they're like, because the last few years they're getting of the age now where it's like, you're doing this stuff on your own. Like, I'm not, going to be by you all the time. I'm not going to be, all right, here, set the gun in the tripod. All right, you're ready to go. The feeder is right there. Now they're kind of starting to move around with me, and they're moving and they're making adjustments in the field by themselves. So this year, there's a little course in our garage set up to where they have to use a bag. And they have to use a bag off of a little folding chair. So they have to like go over. They start at an X on the ground, and they move up and they grab their bag. They have their sandbag, put it on, put the rifle in, wiggle it in just a little bit to settle that bag, and then they break a clean shot. And then they get up and there's a ladder. So they have to take their bag and they have to move over to the ladder and they have to shoot, standing from a different source. And then they have to go over and they shoot from a tripod. So it's funny that you mentioned a tripod and a sandbag or a bag, because that's exactly what I'm doing with my boys right now. Like, and I go out there and I dry fire with them because I need those skills just as much as they do.
Yep, and that's a great point. And when you have a bag, a tripod, I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't have other stuff, but when you have those two things, it doesn't matter if you're hunting in the timber in Kentucky, or you're hunting in the Great Plains in western Nebraska or eastern Wyoming, or you're in the Rocky Mountains. You can take those same two items, and they are worth their weight in gold when you get up there for a shot opportunity. The sandbag can dual purpose as a pillow if you're backcountry stuff, and the tripod, like I said, for holding up a rain fly if you get socked in with rain. For glassing, I spend 90% of my tripod use is with my binos Arca clamped in, sitting on my butt glassing, and then you throw in the spotter, you get a phone scope, and then put the rifle in, you go to shooting. So I think minimalism is important because you could get to the point where I don't know which one to use. And then if you train with them enough, it becomes second nature. And here's a good example, KJ. I was hunting mule deer with my dad. This has been a few years ago. And we were in the Sandhills in Nebraska, and I'd been competing. So this was, say, 3 years ago, and I started competing in 2013. So I kind of got my stuff figured out competitively. And Dad was off looking on another hillside behind me, and I saw a coyote coming across. Didn't know we were there. He was coming across, and the sun lit him up.
It turns into a coyote hunt.
It does, always does. You're hunting suppressed. I don't care about him. Yeah, I'm hunting mule deer, but you see a coyote, shoot a coyote. Anyhow, the point of the story is when I saw the coyote, I relived this after the fact. But what happened was I saw the coyote. I picked up the binos, ranged the coyote, and got the dope for my gun in my binos. I dropped down to the gun on the tripod, doped the gun, rolled the bolt, whistled at him to stop, and put one in his chest. And that happened it was instant. And then after the fact, it was like, oh my gosh, I've been hunting with a tripod and these binos, and I've competed with this tripod with these binos so much that I didn't even think about how that whole thing happened until afterwards. And when you can get to that with a sandbag and a tripod and your gear and keep it minimal, it will happen like that. And it'll happen at a match. It'll happen in the field.
Yeah, that is awesome. And that's why, like, I never was the guy who wanted to compete, but now that I see the benefits in competing and transferring those skills out into the field, Seth, dude, you're exactly right. It's become second nature, and you go, oh, I've seen this before. It's
that
just on something that's moving.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Hey, we've reached the final segment, and what I want to do is I want to kind of give you the floor. Any thoughts that you've had, anything that we've discussed that you're like, you know what, I missed something, or any advice that you want to give anybody out there that's thinking about bullet construction, anything that's on your mind, I'm going to let you have the floor, and you'll have the final say.
Well, shameless plug for anybody that's looking for more on the technical side of things. There's a ton of good information, there's a ton of good resources out there, and there's a ton of stuff that's, entertainment and also educational. If you're looking for some really technical deep dives on bullet construction, the Hornady Podcast is a great resource. As much as we do on there, we really try to keep a focus on the technical side. So we talk through with the engineers that designed it, how it was designed, why it was designed that way, and how we intended its use to be. So check that resource out. I think the biggest thing to leave on the hunting or competition side, or now like you and me, KJ, where we're doing both, and we're doing both to get better at each. The biggest thing you can do is just pick the gear, pick the rifle, the cartridge, whatever, just pick it, and then go shoot the snot out of it.
Yep.
You will get better pulling the trigger. I guarantee it. I'm not saying just blindly, like you mentioned at the beginning, just blindly pointing in a safe direction.
Yep.
Practice with a purpose. You have some intent to what you're doing, but go pull the damn trigger and you will get better. And that's probably the biggest thing is educate yourself, train, have fun, get your stuff picked out, and then absolutely hit it. You will get better going to spend the time at the range and pulling the trigger than you will just reading about it. You have to go apply what you've read and learned. So that's what I'd leave everybody with. Don't be afraid. I know ammo's expensive. I get that part of it. Reload if you can. Do what you can. Incorporate dry firing to save some money, but just go pull the darn trigger.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. Hey, and he is absolutely right. If you want a deep dive on ballistics, on bullet construction, on why Hornady does what they do and how they do it so well, like there is no better podcast out there than the Hornady Podcast. It's one of my top favorite ballistic and just entertaining podcast out there. And that's not me just providing a shameless plug. That's the truth. So you guys go check it out. Seth, I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, thanks, KJ.
All right, all you gun talk hunters, you know the drill. Keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.